used today, but it was brand new. This was back in '78. It was brand new then. And I was young and dumb enough to be willing to do it, and all the experienced guys, they wanted to stick with the transits and steel tape chains, we call them. And we didn't do little stuff. We did mostly big old things. I mean, we did big stuff with our electronic equipment. They sent us on the real cherry jobs. And so we'd go do areas down around Charleston where there'd be big swamps where we could just shoot that laser across there instead of having to walk out through it like I had done for a couple of years. And I come back, yeah, been there, done that. And I come back, and on a Friday afternoon, down at the place, I get back, and in those days, we went in on Friday to the end office by the reception into the building, and our envelopes with our paychecks would be there. And I saw my white envelope, and I could see the pink shining through it. And it was one of those, while you were out, use telephone pad things, and it just said, Rick, C. me, E-I-D, the initials of the president of the company. I thought, oh my gosh, he is like, because they had engineers and architects and airplanes and everything. While I was in school for civil engineering, I was doing it and had that surveying background. And I credit that surveying background for being a huge part of the advantage that has shaped my ability to be a town planner and to come up with realistic, not pie in the sky. Those things, if you can't build it, it's not a plan, it's a picture.
And being experienced.
That's right. And so I worked in engineering and surveying and all that. And even when I got out of college and went and did do a master's in city and regional planning, up with my friends that had gone to college. I had sort of run out there and caught up with it, and then took that leap. The last day at Davis and Floyd, before I went to get my master's, I get a call from the president of the company's secretary. Rick, Mr. Davis would like to see you. It's about 4 o'clock on the last day. I said, yes, sir. So I go down there with my pad. Yes, sir. He said, do me a favor. He said, while you're in graduate school, up there at Clemson, I said, I want you to get you a couple of business classes, because one of these days when you got your own business, you're going to need it. Mayor, just before you call back to order, I just want to let you know that I've probably got about 15 or 20 more minutes of information, and then I'm going to turn it back to you, and then we can either go Q&A or another work session or whatever y'all want to do.
All right. At this time, we will come back from our recess, and we will turn it back over to Mr. Flew.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Just before the break, I had asked everybody to take a look a little bit to find it.
I did not study that.
Well, you are good.
I know what my Walmarts look like.
Well, but this one is intentionally looks like it's got multiple shops and things of that nature. That is referred to in design and architecture as articulation and fenestration. That means it's not just this straight. It doesn't look like it was cut out of a block of cheese. Okay. And so your new standards require on big giant boxes like that they do something nice. That one's in Locust. Okay. That one's in 30-something. I mean, about $30-something thousand an hour. No. They're going to do that. Remember, I'm a reenactment actor. This is a live scene in Spencer, North Carolina, 1988. Mr. Flo, they're wanting to build a Hardee's branch called a Star over here where the railroad crossing is, and crossing the food line, and they want us to run a sewer line for them, and they're saying that it's going to cost $60,000, and been doing work for small towns in this area for a long time, and at the same time I was doing work for Spencer, I was also doing work for your neighbor, China. And just months, not many months at all later, the Hardee's on 29?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I'm sitting in town hall, because that was the day that the planner was in town. And the guy comes in the door, it's the same guy, and he looks, and he says, I probably ought not even ask, should I? I said, nope. Just it's going to be okay. We're not trying to stick it to them, but they will occasionally try to stick it to us. Okay? So, with that said, you have these standards for things built into your ordinance. Now, with that said, I mentioned earlier that new statute. The new statute really drives things towards being spelled out. If there's any underlying message, well, there's really underlying messages, but one of them is spell it out. If we don't spell it out, and they come in and they want to do that building, and you're complaining, and people are coming up to the hearing, and everybody's up in arms, and they got the pitchforks. Now, I mentioned that that was one of the two biggies. The other biggie, I'm gonna drag on Mr. Locklear for a moment. The other biggie involves him. You know, we'd like to, petition for cost or fees. And sometimes they might get that. Sometimes they might get something else. And sometimes the bench might say, y'all go home and pay your own people. The statutes, when they changed this time, fixed that. It is now, without doubt and without question, all on the back of the town. So if somebody challenges and wins, you get to pay your legal team and cost and experts and whoever else you have, and you get to pay all of their. I'm not going to walk you through every last little article in here because there's all kinds of stuff. But the planning board won't be approving plats anymore. You know why? They cannot approve anything that's not spelled out. Up to you. You want it to be this way or that way, that's up to you. What they do care about is due process. Did the town violate a property owner's rights? Did the town violate citizens' rights? Let's say, for example, standards that you don't have to be an expert to deal with, but that the industry out there that comes your way will generally accept, unless you got somebody flying below the radar, and for you to stay out of trouble. So with that said, you have heard the planning board's recommendation, and you have heard the presentation from your team, and I'll be at a legislative hearing. You're not going to hear me use the term public hearing. We're going to call it a public legislative hearing set for May 10th. There's a separate hearing on the plan and a separate hearing on the ordinance. Something the chairman can